So this cable is this cable ship forms a part of a very important project connecting Africa to the rest of the world. So it connects to Europe, to India, to the Middle East, and it circles the entire Africa. To put into context some of the scale of this project, it's 45,000 kilometers of fiber on the seabed, and that fiber is used to enable the internet. And in terms of scale, that's like circling the entire Earth with fiber cable. Now, when you use the internet, you have to send information from one point to the other, and the data is normally inside rooms called data centers, where it's computers and network equipment, and those data centers are all over the world. So when you use your messaging or your streaming and all the applications and internet websites you use, underneath that, the data is actually going on fiber cables through the ocean all over the world, interconnecting the continents. And this project is called To Africa. This To Africa cable encircles the entire continent. It's an amazing... Yeah, it's going to cover the entire Africa. It lands in multiple countries on the east coast, on the west coast, and it connects to Europe, the Gulf, and India. It really interconnects the continent together and enables communication, speeds up communication, and adds volume to the amount of communication that Africa has. Ultimately, it enables industry and builds the economy and helps the underlying industries come together in an ecosystem that ultimately helps individuals in Africa. It moves us forward as a continent. This is the foundation of the digital economy. So you would connect the way you've always connected. You'll use your mobile phone and you'll connect to your mobile provider, or you'll use your home fiber, your home connectivity, or your network access as usual. What this fiber does, it's part of the value chain. This fiber then connects to the mobile operators and the internet service providers. They take capacity on this cable and then they distribute it to the end users who then can benefit. So when you use your messaging application and you send a message to somebody in Kenya as an example, that message shoots at the speed of light from the mobile tower all the way on fiber optic on the land and then under the ocean on this cable to Kenya at the speed of light. So in less than a second, that message comes from your home in South Africa all the way to Nairobi as an example. As technology evolves in our industry, the scale of the cables increased an order of magnitude. So the cables that are coming are 180 terabits, which is almost impossible to comprehend. It's enough to carry almost all the communication in Africa on one cable that's not much bigger than your hose pipe, all the way from here to the rest of the world. So yeah, I mean, it's an amazing project for that. And what's also different is it's an open access cable. Previously, cables were landed by maybe one individual operator in each country, and they had control of the landing of the cables. The new cable, the new generation of cable, are open access. And what that means ultimately is more competition, which improves pricing and increases capacity to the end user. So it's a complete generation technically and a new commercial model. These cables also go all the way directly to Europe without having to connect to other cables. It's like having one long superhighway from our back door in Africa right to the rest of the world. And that's what it brings. Yeah, I think what I would just say is it's a collaboration of multiple companies in the industry, from mobile operators to cloud operators, who are building these businesses, these cable systems. Like our company, WIOCC, we're a wholesale operator. We provide solutions right around Africa in a very open access way. And this is really building an ecosystem that everybody in technology and in industry generally can benefit ultimately. So where we are right now is what's called the testing room. When they deploy the cable out of these massive cable containers, which take about 3,000 kilometers of cable, it comes off the ship, out the back of the ship, and eventually hits the seabed. It can be as deep as 6 kilometers down, and it follows the seabed. But as it's deployed, the crew here is testing the cable to make sure that when it's hit the seabed, the quality of the light signal that is used to transmit all the information, that quality is within the specification of the system. What they do is they push light into the cable and then they loop the cable a number of kilometers off into the sea, and they see the signal coming back, and they can measure the difference in the light quality and power levels, and that tells them, has the cable gone onto the seabed in a correct way? Is it hanging? Is it bent? Is there any cuts on it? Are they getting a good signal? Because if there's a problem, they need to repair it before you deploy the whole system. So this system is going live. It will be landing in Durban on Monday. There'll be where it actually touches ground in South Africa will be on Monday. And then there's a lot of pieces of the project. As I said, there's 5 cable ships operating right around the continent. And ultimately these cables will connect together, what we call splicing. We'll connect them all together. Then there'll be testing from where it lands in all the different cable stations. And once all that testing is complete, probably by the end of this year, we'll have a live system. There's another similar cable that my company WIOCC is part of, where we've supported Google's cable on the west coast called Equiano, and that cable is going live now. So South Africa is getting multiple new submarine cables, which are a huge order of magnitude bigger than the cables that we've had in the past. So Mutazini's got some of the older cable landings, and by landing in Amanzimtoti, which is the other side of Durban, what you're doing is you're creating some diversity. So not only do you need the new capacity cables in terms of scale, but what you also need is diversity, because things go wrong. In submarine cables, we have to worry about ship anchors and earthquakes and all sorts of things. And to repair a cable on the bottom of the ocean is not an easy thing. It doesn't happen quickly. You have to mobilize a ship, you have to find the cable, you have to bring it on, you have to put it together. It can take weeks. And of course, a country can't be without internet for weeks. So what you need is multiple cables coming into a country to create diversity and to create a rich, always-on ecosystem.